Chapter 1. A Ludicrous Pastime. When, late in his life, James Thurber gathered in book form a series of pieces he had published about Ross and the New Yorker in the Atlantic Monthly, he titled one chapter, "Who Was Harold? What Was he?" He actually spent the entire book trying to answer that question. Like many others, he found his boss so elusive a target that he couldn't quite pin him down. There were so many different Rosses, conflicting and contradictory, Thurber wrote, that the task of drawing him in words sometimes appears impossible. Thurber was right, as the testimony of those who worked with and knew Ross shows. Was he warm and personal, Harpo marks, or possessed of a general tenor of irritable stupidity alternated with capricious acts of cruelty, Edmund Wilson? Was he a kind person, Harriet Walden, or someone who found it hard to be entirely kind to others, A.J. Liebling? Was he a vitally intelligent man, Janet Flanner, or the most uncompromising lout, hick, clod, and bore I think I have ever met, David Court? At least a few things about Ross's unlikely swath through the literary establishment are certain. I am frequently regarded as ignorant, I guess, because I haven't a conventional college education, he told John O'Hara. He acknowledged, too, that his magazine had succeeded against most odds. The New Yorker is pure accident from start to finish, he confided to George Jean Nathan. I was the luckiest son of a bitch alive when I started it. And there is ample evidence from a constellation of parties that Ross's more outrageous mannerisms and habits, the ones that have entered the realm of popular anecdote, were bona fide and pervasive. Ross did indeed discourage people from talking to him in the halls, lope through them scowling and preoccupied, exclaim, "Jesus!" in frustration, complain aloud, "I am sorely pressed," swear like a sailor, pound out memos with such rapidity that entire sentences had to be X'd out, type "who he" or "bourgeois" upon encountering a previously unmentioned name or piece of nonsense, run his fingers through his hair in exasperation, resort to underlings to do the firing for him, and take his leave by muttering, "God bless you." But in recent years a more nuanced view of Ross has emerged. Ultimately more revealing than any aspect of his makeup or the role that fate may have played in his success, is an understanding of what he set out to do as an editor and how he did it. Harold Wallace Ross was born on November 6, 1892, in Aspen, Colorado. From his father George, who had been a grocer, carpenter, contractor, scrap dealer, and especially silver miner, he inherited a determined entrepreneurial streak. From his mother Ida, a former teacher, he received a high regard, even a reverence for the English language. When the young Harold came home from the classroom, Ida gave him additional books to read and lessons to learn. The instruction made its mark. Decades later, when confronted with copy he regarded as confusing, mangled, or just plain sloppy, he would cry, "God damn it! All I know about English is what I learned in a little red grammar. And Jesus Christ, this ain't it." Ross was tall, rangy, and raw-boned, with a majestic pompadour, a pendulous lower lip, and a noticeable gap between his front teeth. More important than his physiognomy was his verbal finickiness, a trait that struck some people, even the punctilious Edmund Wilson, as annoying or comic. He insisted on direct prose leavened not by adjectives or figures of speech, but by the strength of simple structure and composition. Ross had an unquenchable thirst for clarity, said E.J. Kahn, Jr., and to slake it one simply had to learn to write better. That was because Ross was a reporter to his core. By the time he was 25, he was the veteran of a fistful of newspapers, the Marysville Appeal, the Salt Lake Telegram and Tribune, the New Orleans Item, and the Denver Post among them. If I stayed anywhere more than 2 weeks, I thought I was in a rut.